All right. Great morning, great morning, great morning, great morning. Good to see everyone. And good to see everyone that's here to kind of level up their 2025. So Brian, Dr. Tiny, Michelle, good to see you. Betty Powell, good to see you. Josephine, good to see you. Brenda, good to see you as well. Eric Thomas, good to see you as well. Aaron Collins, Ann Harris, Peggy Lim, everyone else that's here. Now, some of you guys might have realized, Philip, good to see you as well. Christine, good to see you. We didn't have a call last week. I think Caroline had a couple of issues with getting the system in place. Well, actually, you know what? I don't think that's what it was. I think her daughter had an appointment that ran a little bit late last week. So our apologies on that. She was supposed to come in and run this thing. I was on a cruise ship in the middle of the sea somewhere, having fun with my children and my wife playing Uno, beating them in this game. Not really. They bet the crap out of me, and I got to get better at that. If you guys know how to play Uno, give me some tips because I apparently am not the best. Eric, welcome aboard too. All right, so welcome aboard. Good to have you here as well. I saw where Jawar had brought you in last week. All right, so if you ever have any questions, let us know. You have a way to get in contact with Jawar. If you want to speak, you and I will talk as well. All right, so just let me know. So what I want to do today is, since we have a new year that's coming in, I want to give you guys 21 things that I have found that worked incredibly well for me. So 21 things that work incredibly well for me. And over the last week, while I was actually on the cruise ship and yesterday and the day before that, I kind of like to do this review. So it's like an end of a year review, and I'll also do these quarterly. So every quarter I'll do a review, and these are things that have worked the best for me for last quarter, and I'm doubling down. I'm doing more of those things, and then I'll also review the things that have not worked as well for me. And then I'm kind of eliminating those things or getting them off my plate in some form or fashion if they don't work. All right. Someone wants me to confirm my speaking language, and it is currently in French, which I do not speak French. So I'm going to switch it to English, and then boom, hopefully that helps you out there. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share my screen because I'm going to go through these each, and I'm going to go through them in detail. But I know that you guys often, when we give you like these listicles, sometimes it's best if you can actually see them so that you can write them down, you can review them, and you can kind of pick and choose. I do say, look, pick and choose and look at what will work best for you. Some of these might be extremely different to you. Some of them may be extremely challenging, which is good. Some may be extremely foreign, right? Different. Some you might be like, hey, Ty, I'm already doing that. And if so, then that's great. Double down on it. Continue to do it. If it's working for you. If it's not working for you, don't do it. All right. And then some of these you might be like, Ty, that's a little bit woo-woo. I'm not comfortable with doing that, and that's fine as well. But again, look at these and then challenge yourself because it's in our moments of kind of pushing past our levels of comfortness. Well, that's where we tend to grow, right? That's where we tend to grow the most. All right, so let me go in and share my screen. How's everyone's Christmas? It really didn't seem like Christmas much to me. And maybe well, no, even leading up to getting on the ship, it didn't seem like Christmas much because the weather was really good here in North Carolina. Um, and it just went by so fast. So this year went by really fast. So if you prepare yourself in the right way, what you'll find is that 2025 is going to go by really quickly as well, as the years tend to do. For me, it seems like as I get more mature and aware, I'm going to use those words in replacement of older, the years kind of go by a little bit quicker, right? So as I get a little bit more mature and aware. So I promise that if you do this, you're going to experience a quantum leap like none other, one that includes what I like to call the 5 Fs. So the fulfillment, finances, freedom, flexibility, and fun. And again, as I'm on the cruise ship, I'm just doing a reflection on my life and looking at where I could have done things better in my relationships with my wife, in my relationships with you guys, in my relationships with other people, where I could have done things in my relationships with my children, where I could have done things better business-wise, right? Up until this point. How could I have serve more people, which is one of the things that in 2025 I'm going to do even more so because again, doing this review, and I want you guys to incorporate this in whatever it is that you're doing. Kind of have this altruistic approach where you're doing the most good for yourself as well as for others. And when you do that, there's really a rewarding feeling. I was listening to a lot of Zig Ziglar last week. And as you guys know, if you've ever listened to Zig, one of his things was if you help enough people to get what they want, you can get anything that you want. And when I first started out in internet marketing, Kindle publishing, marketing in general, I used to listen to a lot of Zig, and that one thing stuck with me. It was like, how can I give to more people, not only just to get what I want, which is good, it's great to get that stuff too, but also just to be able to help people in ways where maybe they may not be aware of some of the things that I just found out about, or some of the things that helped me. So now, if I can give them a shortcut, why not? Right? Jim Rohn used to say, if you can, maybe you should. If you can, maybe you should. You're in a hotel. His example was you're in a hotel and you're leaving for the day. The lights are on. If you could turn them off, why not? Maybe you should turn them off, right? It doesn't hurt. It helps. So the first thing is to work on your level of awareness. Now I have this as number one, and you'll find that most of the other things are kind of out of order, or they could be in order because it depends on how you look at it. They may be out of order to you, but they could be in order depending on how you look at it. The first thing, and I want it to be very intentional with this and putting this at the very top, is working on your level of awareness. And I thought long and hard on this. And the reason why I have working on your level of awareness at the very top is because with some of the other things that I'm going to share with you, you may not know if you're doing them the right way or not, if you're not even aware of it. So you have to have this like uncanny level of awareness. I'm actually going to spotlight myself with, actually I'm not. You guys can see my screen pretty well, right? Okay, all right, perfect. So working on your level of awareness. So as I get into more of these, this will make more and more sense, but you have to be at a point where you know if you're putting in your full effort or not. And if you have this heightened level of awareness, you can do that much better, right? You have to know when you're getting distracted. I was talking to my children about this on the ship. There is this battle for our attention right now. This battle like none other for our attention between TikTok, between Instagram, between Facebook, between emails, and I'm guilty of sending you guys emails, right? So I want some of your attention. Between maybe if your spouse or your significant wants some of your attention, if you have children or grandchildren, right? They're vying for your attention. You're looking for ways to get some of your own attention, right? So meaning you can have this peace and quiet. My wife, she stays up a little bit later at night because that's her downtime. That's her quiet time. She's like, that's when you guys are you're not vying for my attention. Right. So working on your level of awareness, even when you have all of these things that are clamoring for your attention, is going to be one of the best things that you can do. And you'll see that as I continue to go down this list. It will allow you to have this level of self-awareness where you can kind of look at your thoughts, and meditation helps with this big time. You can kind of look at your thoughts as you're having these thoughts, and then you can self-assess whether these things, the thoughts, are pushing you forward or pushing you away from where you want to be. I'll give you an example. So again, while I'm on a cruise ship, and I think this was Thursday. Each day I was getting up pretty early. Most of the days I was getting up pretty early, keeping my routine and going in, walking around the ship, talking to people, just really setting my intentions for the day, enjoying myself, right? Soaking in the sun. And then after that, I would go to the gym. Some days, didn't go all days. Uh, or I would go get breakfast. Or I would switch those things around. I would go get breakfast and then go to the gym and then walk around the top deck and take in some sun. So one morning, I'm going to the buffet. I'm going to grab something. And I went and I grabbed some tea. As you guys know, I'm a fan of tea. I got the tea here with me. And then I go in and I'm walking past because I'm going to get some breakfast. And on my freaking left, I see all of the desserts. So I'm walking past, no intention of getting desserts at all. Not at all. Actually, this wasn't in the morning. This was more afternoon. This was more like towards lunchtime. I'm walking past and I see the freaking dessert. I see the cookies and I see they had like a lemon cake and they had just a chocolate cake and just everything. And I turned and I stopped. I grabbed the plate and I go in and I'm about to load up on two cookies. And then I was going to go get a piece of cake, chocolate cake, and a piece of lemon cake. And I'm sitting here, and because I'm thinking about this in my mind, it probably was maybe about 3 seconds, 4 seconds that I'm thinking about this, my decision, what I'm going to do. But it felt like it was about 5 minutes. It felt like time stood still there. So I go in, I grab the plate, and then I put it back. And I continue to go in and get my salad. And I made one of the best salads ever. And in that moment, I was extremely grateful that I made the right decision. Because I could have easily made the wrong decision, right? Now, why am I telling you this? Because the same thing happens in our lives. Like every single day, we have dozens, if not hundreds of decisions that we can make. And if we don't have the awareness, if I was not aware at that time, this is not where you said you're going, right? This is not where you told yourself, most importantly, where you're going with the desserts. This is not where you told your wife you're going. She gives you a hard time about it. This is not where you told your daughter Summer. She's like the gatekeeper. If she saw you right now, what would she say? Right? So if I didn't have that level of awareness, what would happen is these unconscious habits that I built up would have taken place right there. So having this this super aware level of awareness where you're looking at your decisions and almost in a second, split second, you're saying, okay, well, is this going to move me forward? Or is it going to move me backwards? And me at that moment, getting the sugar, the extra stuff that doesn't do me any good at all, would have moved me backwards. All right, it would have moved me backwards. Now, it would have moved me backwards in the sense of I just don't need the sugar, but it would have moved me backwards in the sense of when I tell myself that I'm going to do something and I don't do it, it becomes harder for me to keep my next commitment. Does that make sense? Like when you tell yourself that you're going to do something and you don't do it, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. You tell yourself you're going to sit down and write every day for 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, but you can't have a discipline tie to keep away from the cakes that you didn't have an intention on getting anyway. But because a distraction came in and took place, you gave the power to the distraction. So do you see how this works? Like Stephen Pressfield talks about this in The Art of War. He says the biggest problem that most authors and writers have and creators is not creating the content, it is sitting down, the act of sitting down and actually creating the content. And if we can't condition ourselves to do these things that go along with that, it is staying off of Facebook, maybe staying off of TikTok, maybe not jumping on the first thing in the morning, right? And instead doing something else that's going to move you forward. So the level of awareness is going to be huge for you. That level of awareness and getting so aware that, again, you can spot when you're doing something or about to do something, in this case with the cakes and the pies for me, that you stop yourself mid-level. And it becomes a really fun game. So for me, it becomes a really cool game where I'm like, oh my God, I was just about to slip and I caught myself, right? So working on your level of awareness is number one. The second thing is you're going to set a goal to become 10 times more disciplined than you currently are. So the level of awareness and the discipline, they go hand in hand, right? Again, like I said, the way you do anything is the way that you do everything. If you're disciplined in one area, the chances are you're going to be disciplined in another area. The way that the studies show, there was a study that I read about a couple of months ago, maybe about 6 months ago, where they saw that there's a part in your brain, I forget what it's called, where it kind of strengthens itself, just like your muscles will strengthen themselves the more that you use them. But it strengthens itself the more that you tend to not do the things that you know you shouldn't do. The more that you can resist not giving in to the temptations, that part of your brain will get stronger and stronger and stronger, right? But also, the less that you do the things that, the more that you give in, that part of your brain weakens. So the more that I would have went in and said, you know what? I know I shouldn't be eating these cookies. I said that I'm not going to be eating cookies, right? But I'm going to go grab a cookie anyway. The more that I do that, the weaker I get in that area of my brain, the weaker I get in that portion of my brain that helps us with discipline. But the more that I resist, the stronger that area gets, right? So now, when it comes to other things, when it comes to creating content, I'm a little bit more disciplined in that, right? I say, hey, look, Mondays are going to be my days when I go in and I batch out content because I've been able to resist the cookies and resist other things and be stronger at doing other things. Now I'm also stronger at creating content and sticking to my schedule, right? I'm stronger at being able to be here every Monday, providing I'm not out of town or doing something else, but sticking to the commitment. So condition yourself to be aware of what it is that you're doing, where you're actually slacking at, and where you're actually like really sticking to the game plan and do more of that, more of sticking to the game plan. All right. So setting this goal to become 10 times more disciplined than you currently are. The act of being disciplined, again, this turns into a game as well. Now, you might say this is one of those things where you're like, hey, Ty, well, we got to have some fun, right? Yes, absolutely. You do have to have some fun. You can't be so hard on yourself all the time. But the people that tend to be a little bit more tough on themselves, they end up having the ability to accomplish more. And it doesn't matter where that area is. You look in the gym, you look at your favorite author, right? You look at someone like a J.K. Rowling. She's had to have a level of discipline in order to turn in these manuscripts. She's had to have a level of discipline in order to continue to push past like all of the rejections that she had. I mean, even the negative feedback that she got. Now, this is not a political session, so regardless of what her personal opinions and views are, right? That stuff aside, you have to have a level of discipline when you get to a certain level and half of the internet loves you and the other half of the internet hates you. You look at someone like a Donald Trump or Elon Musk or anyone else that's really out there, right? From entertainers to athletes to politicians. You have to have a level of discipline where you continue to push forward, even though you know there's some people that can't stand your guts. Even though you know there's some people that love you. Will Smith said this a long time ago. He said, regardless of if people tell you that you're the greatest person on earth, or if they tell you that you're the worst person on earth, believe none of it, right? And listen to your heart and be disciplined enough to go in the direction that you wish to go in. So when I first heard that, it just totally made so much sense where, you'll have these outside influences that may be good or bad, but ultimately, what makes the most sense is who you want to be and then moving in that direction to make sure that you get there. So setting a goal to become 10 times more disciplined than you currently are. Now, we're going to be honest with ourselves. We can look at our level of discipline right now, and we probably are terrible at it, right? We're probably 100% terrible at it. We may have said, look, I want to have 5 books written by this time this year. There's many of you guys who set resolutions last year. And if you're going to be totally honest with yourself, because of the lack of discipline, the goals that you set last year have not materialized. And we only have a couple of days. So the chances, unless you're going to really turn into a Superman or a Superwoman, the chances of you accomplishing those goals within the next couple of days are going to be slim to none. Now, had you had a heightened level of awareness, number one, and had a much higher level of discipline, regardless of all the things that took place in your life, right? Regardless of how much or how little time you had, regardless of all of the other responsibilities, you still would have gotten it done. Right? You still would have gotten it done. Now, this is a hard one to really swallow, because what this does is it says that, look, it's really on me. It's really on me. And when we start to have this level of personal responsibility where, naturally what will happen is we'll see where our brain wants to give us a reason why we weren't able to do the things that we said that we wanted to do. It'll justify why we deserve to get that cookie. It'll justify why we didn't reach our goals that we set last year. And all of that justification is BS. It's just crap to make you feel better. And in actuality, when you think about it, and if you're going to be honest with yourself, it should make you feel a little bit worse, right? Because everyone that's here, everyone that's watching this, you guys are intelligent. There's people that are out there that probably can't hold a candle to you. There's probably people that are out there that have much less intelligence than you, that are much less handsome or beautiful than you, that don't know the stuff that you know, right? That don't have the connects that you know, but they still are accomplishing the things that they want to accomplish, right? Because they've taken on this level of personal responsibility. And when you get to a point where you're like, okay, well, it is my fault, then things start to look different for you. All right. So setting a goal to become 10 times more disciplined than where you currently are. Now, again, this may look like it's challenging. You're like, hey, Ty, well, not 2 times more disciplined, not 5 times more disciplined, 10 times more disciplined, right? 10 times more discipline in every area. And that is, again, going back to the way you do anything is the way that you do everything. All right. The way you do anything is the way that you do everything. Now, the third thing is get extremely clear on who you want to be. So extremely clear on who you want to be. Now, the next couple of notes here, right? With these, I want you to really give yourself some time. Like, don't rush into answering these questions here. Give yourself a couple of days. Give yourself a couple of hours, uninterrupted time, right? Getting extremely clear on who you want to be. And part of this is, how do other people see me? Once I've hit this level of who I want to be, what would that look like from the outside? How do other people see me? So if I say I want to be this individual that publishes, let's say 7 books a year, right? We'll use 7, it's a nice easy number. How do other people see me as I move along my journey of becoming that individual who next year now has 7 books that are published? Do they see me as a person who, if they call me during my writing time, they know that they're probably not going to get through to me unless it's an emergency? Because they're like, oh, you know what? No, I remember Michelle said she's writing between 7 and 8, 7:30 and 8, right? Or whatever it might be, 7 and 7:15. I can't call her. I'm going to wait until 8 o'clock because I know she'll be done. Does that make sense? Like, how do other people see you? So get extremely clear on who you want to be. I'll give you an example. So I was talking to someone a couple of days ago about Eckhart Tolle. And one of the things that Eckhart Tolle talked about was being more clear and present in where you are. So being more clear and present in where you are. And when I went on the cruise ship with my family, my goal was to be totally in the moment, be present, and not be thinking about work, not be thinking about the future, not be thinking about the past, but being right there. So studying some of Eckhart Tolle's stuff, and one of the things that he said was, he said, when you have a challenging time being present, he said one of the best ways to overcome that in conversations is think about the next word you're going to say, or think about the next thing you're going to say. He says that's one way of doing it, right? So right now, as I'm in my head and I'm thinking about what are the next things I'm going to say, it allows me to be more present right now in the now. So I can't think about the future. I can't think about the past as I'm doing that. He says another way to do this, and this is really good for people that are a little bit introverted or you have a hard time in social outings, is to listen intently to every single word that the person or people that are speaking to you are saying. instead of being in your head like, how am I going to respond? What am I going to say? Oh my God, I just looked awkward. I shouldn't have said that. That was dumb, right? So being really intentional on listening to every single word. So as I'm talking to my buddy and giving him some of these tips that I just heard from Eckhart Tolle, uh, I mentioned to him that these were in his book, The Power of Now, right? So I had been listening to a YouTube clip that had kind of shared some of these. And I said to him, oh my God, I got to go in. And that's a book that's on my list. I've never read Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. I have it, but I never read it. He was like, oh my God, Ty, I'm surprised that you haven't read it. I thought sure you would have read that or listened to it multiple times. So do you see what I mean? Like, how do other people see you? So he saw me as being someone who would have read that book years ago or when it first came out. That's because I'm extremely clear on who I want to be, and it's so evident that it shows to other people. Let me know if that makes sense. So being extremely clear on who you want to be in your relationships, right? Very clear on who you want to be with your finances, with your health, with your habits, and the things that you do on a daily basis. So being extremely clear on who you want to be, so much to the point that it is evident and people see it because that's the identity that you've adopted now, right? That's the identity that you've adopted, right? Let's see. So the fourth one is getting extremely clear on what you wish to accomplish. So this is different than who you want to be. What do you wish to accomplish? What are some of the things that you want to do? Now, this could be, again, writing a book series. This could be creating your course, publishing your course. This could be starting a membership program. This could be going to the gym. This could be being the best grandmother that's out there. This could be being the best, grandfather. This could be someone that reignites his relationship with his wife or someone who reignites her relationship with her husband. And how do other people see you in this role as well? And then more importantly, like getting really granular with it. Like, what does it look like? When you're at this moment, what does it look like? Right? So I may be, let's say if my goal is to be someone who publishes 7 books by the end of this year, what does it look like for me? Well, it looks like, man, Ty, you said that you were going to do this and you kicked butt. You had some difficulties the last couple of years, you didn't do it, but this, man, like you're having these conversations in your head. I'm super proud of you. This feels really good. How much time is it going to take you? What does it look like as you're accomplishing this time-wise before you become that person that has done the thing that you said you want to accomplish, right? What does it feel like? Again, this is kind of going hand in hand with look, but what does it feel like? What does it feel like to you to wake up? I know when I first made my first $1 million, I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, this does not feel like what I thought it would feel like. I thought that it would feel like this totally euphoric feeling where I'm just over the moon. But instead, it felt like you now have the ability to help more people. Like help people realize that this is something that they can do if they want to. Help them to realize that, look, even with your background, knowing where you came from, you know that anything's possible, right? So what will it feel like? What will it look like? How much time will it take? How will other people see you? Like just alone, the thought of how do other people see you once you've accomplished this thing, this is big because it helps you to move in that direction, right? It helps you to move in that direction. Now, what's going to happen is you're going to have a lot of imposter syndrome that starts to pop up. You're going to have a lot of doubts that start to pop up, right? But still keeping in mind, how will other people see me now that I've accomplished this thing? And you can do it in the present where it's now taking place, it's now happening, right? How do people see me? And you'll move in that direction mentally, physically, spiritually, so that people start to see you there. The fifth thing is getting extremely clear on what it is that you want to have in your life, right? Getting really clear on what is it that you want to have in your life. What's this level of appreciation that you'll have once you have achieved the things that you want? And again, this should take you ideally hours. It should take you days to get really clear. And you're writing these things down, so much so that you can actually see them, right? So getting extremely clear on what it is that you want to have in your life. And then once you have achieved these things, What's your level of appreciation? Are you thankful? Are you now where you thought you would be now that you've achieved these things, right? Now that you have them? How does it feel? What does it look like? How are other people treating you? Right? So, invoking as many of your senses as possible. What do you see it like being here? All right. So, getting extremely clear on what it is that you want to have in your life, and then what's that level of appreciation look like? Number six, if it does not move you, this is big here, especially when it comes to um, reading new books or getting involved with things, right? Or even going places or looking at YouTube videos or studying things that don't move you in that direction. If it does not move you in the direction of where you want to be, in numbers, 1 to 3 above, or the last three that I just went over, give it some time before you actually start doing it. Before you pick up that next book, and this is where it gets tough, right? Because oftentimes we'll have people, including myself, that might suggest a book, right? But if it does not move you in a direction where you want to be, it's just a distraction. It becomes a distraction. So think long and hard before doing it. And that could be anything. It could be a YouTube video, like I said. It could be a podcast. Oftentimes, I have a lot of my buddies that will send me links to books and podcasts, and they've gotten a lot of value out of it, so they want to share it with me. But then I have to often think like, this podcast episode that was just sent to me, is it going to just literally steal 30 minutes or an hour of my time that I'll never get back? Because this is not the direction that I'm moving in right now. Or is it something that's going to help me to get to where I want to go? Right? So think about this in almost all things, almost everything that you do, right? Fully immerse yourself in embodying the person who has already achieved the last three things that I spoke about, right? So if it does not move you in that direction, think about it before taking it on. Number 7, get extremely clear on what it is that you are willing to give up. Because to do all of these things, to have, to be, to accomplish, to get to where you want to be, you actually have to give up. You got to sacrifice some things. Now, it might be sacrificing who you currently think you are. It might be sacrificing what you think you're capable of doing. It might be sacrificing sleep. Now, I'm not telling you to do anything that's dangerous. But the honesty of it is, it might require you to get up a little bit earlier. It might require you to stay up a little bit later. It might require you to. I put a post up on Facebook yesterday. I was talking about this book reading lamp that I had gotten as a gift many years ago. And I talked about how this thing has been one of the best gifts for me ever, because it allows me to read. I can clip it onto a book and I can read at night while I'm in bed without disturbing my wife, without having the overhead lights on, or without having like my nightstand lamp on or anything like that. But it's like, do I give up before going to sleep looking at YouTube or a TikTok video or something else on my phone, or do I continue to develop the habit of reading myself to sleep at night? So there's got to be some sacrifices that you have to actually give up. And understanding the things that you give up will help you to get to where you want to be, what you want to accomplish, what you want to have. I can't continue to have a diet of loving to eat pies and cakes, having a pie or having a cookie or having a cake in the morning every day, and then say I want to have a six-pack abs. It just doesn't make sense, right? So it doesn't make sense. So getting extremely clear on what it is that you're willing to give up. If you're willing to, again, have 7 books in place by the end of this coming year, then you may have to give up watching your favorite television shows. You may have to give up the amount of time that you're on Facebook. You may have to give up the amount of time that you're talking on the phone. You may have to give up the over procrastinating, the overthinking, the overcomplicating things. You might have to give that stuff up and be like, you know what? This is going on this side because I need this stuff to be accomplished. I need to become the individual that I want to become, right? There's some things that I want to have. There's some things that I want to give my family. So by me giving up these things, it's going to help me to get closer to becoming, accomplishing, and having. The eighth thing is getting obsessed with measuring and tracking. So this is big right here. And this is one that I'm continuously getting better and better and better at, right? So measuring and tracking your results. Measuring and tracking your results. It is extremely difficult to continue to move forward in quantum leap efforts without measuring and tracking. So this could be something as simple as, again, going through the 7 books, having 7 books published, right? Within a year. How long does it take you to complete each book? So measuring that, keeping that in mind. Does it take you a month? Does it take you 6 weeks, right? Measuring and tracking that. And then once you go and you actually publish your books, how are they doing? How well are they selling? What are some things that you could be doing better? Can you go in and do more author swaps? How are your Facebook ads working out? Measuring the results, tracking your results, and then tweaking things so that you get better, right? So looking at how you're not doing so well, measuring these things, tracking these things, and getting even better at it. So building a list. So one of the things that I'll look at is when we're building out our list, I'm looking at the number of leads that we get on a regular daily basis. And then I'm doing that calculation. So I'm like, okay, well, if we can get 200 leads on a daily basis, then that would be 6,000 leads over a 30-day month period. Right? And now, so having that goal where every single day I need to get a minimum of 200 leads through whatever means that may be, knowing that that's my baseline. If I don't get that, then the chances of me hitting my goals are going to be slim to none. Right? Because now I got to start playing catch up. The next day I may have to get 275 or 250 or 225. But I don't know that if I'm blindly going out there and I've got my registration pages, I've got my opt-in pages out there, leads are coming in, but I'm not tracking on a daily basis or even on an hourly basis if you want to get really granular with it, what my results are. Right? So hopefully that makes sense. So tracking and measuring everything, that's going to help you to see where you want to be and how close you are to getting there and how likely it is that you're going to get there. All right. The ninth thing is taking 100% personal responsibility. So taking 100% personal responsibility. This is a big one here because I think that it's easy to put the blame on something or someone else. It's easy if we don't accomplish the things. It's easy to say, well, look, I was sick. Or this was a rough year. Or my finances were not where they needed to be. Or my children were acting up, right? Or whatever. Maybe the Democrats were in office. That's why it was tough. Maybe the Republicans were in office. That's why it was tough, right? But taking 100% personal responsibility to the point where you're acting like the lives of yourself and other people are dependent on you making it happen. You making it happen. One of the things that we'll always say in the community is who needs you to win, right? So who needs you to win? Because oftentimes it's not just about us, right? It's if we're writing a book, if we're considering publishing this next series that we might have, there's people that are depending on us. Going back to J.K. Rowling, if she took this idea of Harry Potter and never pushed herself, never held herself accountable, never had the self-discipline, never had the level of awareness, the chances of her getting her Harry Potter series out there, as difficult as it was for her to do it, it would have never happened. And because of that, if it would have never happened, for tens of millions, probably hundreds of millions of fans that are out there that read the books, right? That watch the movies, that visit the attractions that they have at Disney World and other places. Those people would have missed out just because she didn't take that personal responsibility and say, if it's to be, if Harry Potter's to come out, if it's to be, it's up to me. That's how you have to look at your thing. Whatever it is that you want to put out there, no one else is going to come in and do it. I'm not going to come in and do it. Your family member's not going to come in and do it. It has to be up to you. And it has to be so huge in your belief and in your thinking that you start to think like, who's going to miss out on this? There could potentially be millions of people, hundreds of millions of people that could miss out on the thing that you want to put out there just because you didn't have the discipline, the self-awareness, and the personal responsibility to go in and continue to stick to your schedule, to put it out there, and to do it as if it was impossible not to be done. All right? So that's the ninth thing. The 10th thing is challenge yourself to act and move 2 times faster than your normal. I'm going to be honest with you. There's a lot of people that are moving extremely slow, including myself on things, right? Extremely slow. We don't have all the time on the planet. We don't have all the time in the world. So challenging yourself to act and move 2 times faster than your normal. And along with this comes, look, getting out of the stage of overthinking things, overanalyzing things, doubting yourself, and just acting on it. And what happens is once you start to act, you get into the habit. You start to build up that habit of being someone that moves forward quickly, right? So challenging yourself to move 2 times faster than your normal. You want to start writing? Go in, set a limit, a timer. This is something that works really well for me. I'll set a timer, and if my usual is an hour, I'll go and I'll set a 30-minute timer. And then I'm putting my phone down. I'm closing out all of the distractions. Before that, I might tell my family, look, I need 30 minutes of uninterrupted time. I'm doing this for our betterment. And then I'm just going in. I might put some meditative music on. I might put some binaural beats on. I might put some jazz music on. I might put something on that's going to help me to be more creative. And I'm racing against time. So challenging yourself to move 2 times faster than your normal is number 10. Number 11, become a totally different person. You can't go into a new year being the same person that you were last year. And this is one of those things that might seem foreign to you, right? But becoming a totally different person. Me coming from the background that I came from, I had to become a totally different person to now when people see me, right? It's like, oh my God, Ty, you've grown a lot. Like you're someone that's totally different. How do people see you? Become a totally different person to the point where you have new habits, and most importantly, you have new standards. You have the standards of someone that writes consistently. You have the standards of someone that publishes consistently. And not just publishes one at a time, right? But moves with urgency. You're publishing quickly. I found that I've had the most success in my life when I've done things quickly and I've done things in mass. And I've done it just as fast as possible, without giving myself enough time to overthink myself or give myself enough time to start to doubt and to talk myself out of it. So becoming a totally different person. That was not me before. Before I was the individual that would, oh my God, I can't do this. And I'm coming up with all of the reasons and excuses as to why I couldn't do it. And that didn't serve me. Didn't work for me at all. Was the individual that would take forever to do things. Didn't serve me. Didn't serve my family. Didn't serve you guys, right? So I had to become a totally different person, a totally different identity. I've got a friend of mine, Frank Cohen, who did this really well. He came from Macon, Georgia, so a very country area, and he moved all the way over to La Jolla, California. So from the East Coast here in the U.S. to the West Coast. So some of you guys may have heard of Frank Cohen because he's a very big name in the internet marketing space. And when he was in Macon, Georgia, where he was born and raised, I believe he was born and raised in Macon, Georgia, he was more of this country guy. Like you saw him, you're looking at him as a guy from the South, a typical guy from the country. And he said, I'm going to become a totally different person. He moved over to La Jolla, San Diego, so California, and he started to take up surfing. He let his hair grow a little bit longer. He got a couple of tattoos. Totally different person. Totally different person than the Frank Cohen that you knew and that you saw from Macon, Georgia. Right? Started living a little bit more extravagant lifestyle. So become a totally different person in whatever way that means for you. Whatever way that means for you. All right? So you might be becoming this person that is much more disciplined with their writing, with their creativity, with publishing the social media, with helping people. Whatever that looks like for you, with creating a podcast, right? With starting your YouTube channel, whatever that looks like for you, it should be something that other people may not even ever have been able to imagine that you would have done it. And making sure that it's something for the good that's going to move you in the direction that you want to be moved in. Right? The 12th thing is this goes hand in hand with what I talked about earlier, and that is stop wasting time. Like we don't, there's people that would love to have the time that you have, that you're taking for granted, that you're wasting. Steve Jobs, he would have given everything that he had, all of his wealth, to get some of the time that you're squandering, the time that you're wasting, the time that you're taking advantage of. Stop wasting time. We don't have all the time on the earth to do the things that we want to do, the things that you know you should do, the things that you're totally afraid of doing, the things that bother you the most, that you have the most reservation about doing, the most self-doubt, the most anticipation about doing. But it's nagging you, like it keeps bothering you. It comes up every once in a while. Those are the things that you should be doing. That's your North Star. That's your calling. Stop wasting time. Get to doing it. Even doing it if it's uncomfortable. Get to doing it in the most uncomfortable state ever. This stuff right here, talking to you guys, like if you would have looked at me 10 years ago, it was the most uncomfortable thing ever to talk to people. The most uncomfortable thing ever. 5 years ago, 2 years ago, a year ago. But the more I do it, the better I get at it, right? The more I do it, the better. And that's going to be the same for you. Stop wasting time, overthinking, overanalyzing, being comfortable, and just start doing it. Again, repetition is the mother of skill. The more that you do it, the more often you do it, the better you'll get at it. All right. Number 13, move out of your hometown. Remember I said that there's going to be some things that are uncomfortable, that are going to seem foreign to you, that are going to seem unrealistic. Move out of your hometown. And or disassociate from the things, the people that make it hard for you to grow in the direction that you wish to. This is a big one for me. Right? This is a huge one. We moved from Connecticut. My wife came to me one day and she was like, you know what? I just want to move. I'm like, you want to move? What do you mean you want to move? Right? So she always had this dream of moving to North Carolina. Why North Carolina? I don't even know. But, and for me, it was a really good move. It was one of the most frightening things that I ever did. Right? I had no family here in North Carolina. My family, originally, my mom and dad are originally from South Carolina. So as a kid, we would come from the north to the south for things like family reunions or for summer vacations. And I always thought of the South, no disrespect to anyone that may be from the South, but I always thought of it as being extremely country. The most boring place ever. Coming from the city, right? Connecticut, where I lived in Bridgeport, Connecticut, which was like a mini version of New York. Right? So it's a very urban area. Lots going on. Everything's close to you. And right, no farms or farm animals or anything like that. You can do anything you want to at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock at night. There's still stores and restaurants open. So I always thought that I'm like, what the hell are we got to do in North Carolina? But it was, like I said, one of the best things ever because it allowed me to have new experiences. It allowed me to grow. It allowed me to see things differently, right? I've got this here, you will always revert back to the expectations of others. If you ever notice, if you have the ability to, there's more people that are coming in, let them in. So if you have your parents, let's say if your parents are still alive, or maybe you've got aunts or uncles, right? If you think about it, no matter how old you are, you still kind of revert back to the certain personality when you're around your parents, right? Or around your aunts, your uncles. So other people will always see you as the individual that they've always known you to be. So even when you're on this mission to grow and to become this different person and to change personalities, it'll be kind of tough. But more you're around those people that you've been around for most of your life, right? So it becomes tough, especially if those are people that it's difficult for them to see you becoming something and someone other than they've always known you to be. Because you always want to kind of you want to kind of make them feel comfortable, even if it means making yourself feel uncomfortable. So getting out of my hometown, and even before that, disassociating from the things and the people that made it hard for me to grow was something that was extremely beneficial for me, right? This was the first thing that I did, right? You still can love people from a distance, but you don't have to let them totally drag you down or keep you from being the person that you know you deserve to be, right? I spoke to there was a friend of mine, his name is Colin Yearwood, and he was telling me about how, look, I thought I was doing something moving from one state to the other. He told me about how his parents moved from Ghana, totally different country, right? So from Ghana in Africa to the United States, they left their great jobs. They were professional people in Ghana. They came here to the United States and took on blue collar jobs, right? Because they knew that it would be the best thing for them, right? And to make that even more difficult, they left their children in Ghana for a couple of years until they were able to come here to the United States, establish themselves, and then they went back, got their children, and brought their children here to the US, right? So that's one of the things that I admire about immigrants, that they have this ability to get past the comfortable and be uncomfortable for a period of time because they know that it's going to be the best move for not only them but also their family. Like, think about me moving from Connecticut to North Carolina and not having any family here or anything, and we had children. That was difficult. But I can't imagine moving from one country, and maybe some of your ancestors did this, moving from one country to a totally foreign country. Maybe they don't even speak the language or didn't speak the language, right? Which made it even harder. Maybe they got picked on, which made it even harder because they were foreigners in a foreign land, maybe not speaking the language, totally trying to figure things out. And then you add leaving your kids there, right? And then having to come in, figure things out. So nothing's impossible. The only things that are impossible are the things that we make up in our mind, right? So change your location and you'll boost your personal growth 10x faster, as long as you've also made the change in number 6, and that is to get comfortable. What was number 6? I forget what number 6 was here. Number 6 was if it doesn't move you in the direction where you want to be, right? Then don't do it. Now, the next thing is connect with high value people that are being, accomplishing, and having at a level much higher than what you currently have, right? So connecting with people that maybe financially they're much higher than where you are at, right? It becomes really uncomfortable to be around someone that's doing much better than you if you know that you have the potential. And it gets even more frustrating when you know that that person, by our standards, it doesn't look like that they had the potential and they were still able to achieve, right? So get around people that are publishing in a way that you want to publish, that are doing things in a way that you want to do, that have a life that you want to have, that are accomplishing the things that you want to have, right? And some of the ways to do this is, and this is what I did, my own personal journey was to attend conferences and seminars. And these were going to live and flying to live events, even when I didn't have money, right? Where I had to scrape it up and I had to figure out how it's going to happen. It was the most uncomfortable thing for me, but I knew that getting around people that were doing the things that I wanted to do would help me more than not being around them, right? And that's one of the reasons why we give you guys these communities, like the publishlikeapro.com community. If you're not part of that, then go in and join it, publishlikeapro.com, or the Kindle Cashflow community that we have on Facebook, right? It gives you a chance to meet other people that are doing things that you wish to do, that are being, having, and doing, right? Other places, you can go to high edge bars where people are, you can go to the gym. I always meet some really cool people at the gym, online, meetups is another thing that I don't go to meetups as much anymore, but meetups was something that I used to go in and attend a lot and meet some really high caliber people. So meetup.com, there's meetups on everything out there. Work out more. So much more. So not only should you be active in the way that you're thinking about doing things, but also being active in your physical fitness as well, right? So getting concerned about your health, disciplining yourself to work out on a regular basis and taking care of the most important thing on the planet, and that is your body, right? Number 16, declutter. So this gives you this freedom of clarity. It gives you the freedom of creativity. And that is like, it's hard to work in a cluttered space, whether that space is your car, your workspace, cleaning out these hidden drawers. And we all know what we're talking about here, right? These drawers where it's like out of sight, out of mind. No, because your mind still knows. You still know the junk that you have in your closets, in your drawers, right? And all of the other areas of your home, your garage. So decluttering and incorporating sort of a minimalistic lifestyle helps you big time, more than I can ever express to you, right? So decluttering, making sure that your workspace and just your home and your car and your living spaces in general are clutter free. 17, learning a high income skill. So this is what many of you are doing right now, learning a high income skill. And those skills could be things like publishing, writing, it could be marketing, social media mastery, right? Learning to be more proficient on social media. It could be selling. It could be copywriting. For me, when I first got started, learning copywriting was huge for me because learning how to sell became something that helped me in a lot of areas, and I still use that skill set today, right? Marketing, networking. AI is something that's huge right now. So learning how to prompt and then taking action, not just learning the stuff, but also putting it in place and taking action, right? So you don't have to complicate it. You just go in, you choose a skill, you totally submerge yourself in it, you learn it, you set a period of time, and you do it as you're learning. So don't just make the mistake of learning, but you should learn and implement, right? So I personally believe that a skill that, like having a skill has the potential to be 10 times more valuable than a degree. That's my personal opinion, right? It's been shown to be proven for me. Having a skill and knowing how to market and sell has the potential to be 10 times more valuable than a degree. So having that skill and then knowing how to market and sell, right, along with that can be extremely valuable. The 18th thing is learning how to invest. So start by investing in yourself, right? Learning how to make sure that you are your first priority. Invest in the proper food, invest in getting the right rest, invest in the healthcare, invest in your mindset, right? Meditate, do whatever it is that feels good to you so that you're investing in yourself. Because if you don't feel well, it's really hard to do well, right? Then you can start investing in courses and mentorship and coaching and things like appreciating assets, right? Creating multiple streams of income, but making sure that mentally, physically, and spiritually, you feel great and you're investing in yourself in those three areas. And then you start investing in all of the other things as well. And some of it you could do simultaneously, you could do it at the same time. This is a big one. So writing down and reviewing your goals daily. So I've shared my goal task sheets with you guys several times where on almost a regular basis now, I don't do it every day in total transparency, but almost on a regular basis, I'll come in and I'm writing down my goals. I also have my goals written down in my phone. So I'm reviewing them every day, right? Reviewing them every single day and just going through them and just picturing how does it feel? How does it smell? How does it taste? What does it look like now that I have achieved these goals and I'm acting as if they are currently in the present? They're not off in the distance, right? Because if they're off in the future, then the chances of them ever materializing are slim to none. 20, this is a big one. And we're one away from our final one. So 20, doubt your doubts. Doubt your doubts, right? So what I mean by that is sometimes you can go in and we can doubt that we're capable of doing things. We strongly believe that. But how often do you ever doubt the doubts that you have? And you just move forward and you act and you do and you be as if you are currently living the life that you wish to live, right? Like you don't have, you're using your imagination, so you don't have to be realistic with this stuff. But what if you started to assume the identity of the individual that was doing the things that you want to do? And you had those habits right? You had the standards, you had the work ethic. You put in the time of that individual that was currently where you wish to be. And you did so without doubting yourself, right? So again, use your imagination, do the stuff. You don't have to be realistic once you start to use your imagination. And 21, our final one is set intentions. So set intentions morning and night. So at night, what do you intend to accomplish the next day? What do you intend to accomplish the next day, right? Think about the stuff before you go to sleep. Your mind is the most, it's the most concentrated, meaning when you give it things late at night, right? It has the ability to go in and get to work at providing a solution to the things that you gave it. Likewise, in the morning, it's the most receptive in the morning. So set intentions the night before. What do I intend on accomplishing tomorrow? And then that morning, first thing when you wake up, first couple of minutes when you wake up, right? What do I intend on this day looking like? There's some people first thing in the morning, they're grumpy and they're pissed off, right? I don't understand how you can be grumpy and upset by waking up in the morning. There's plenty of people who wish they would have woken up that next day, right? So being grateful, being thankful, setting your intentions on what you're accomplishing, and then setting the intention that this is going to be the best day ever, regardless of whatever goes on. When my mom died, it was one of the worst days for me ever, but I still saw good things in it, right? The memories that we had together, the things that she was able to accomplish, the things that I was able to help her with, right? Me being born to her. So you can still find things to be grateful for, even when it doesn't seem like there's anything to be grateful for, right? So you guys already have everything in you to win. Carve away at yourself to create your version of Michelangelo's David. You just go chip away, and before you know, at the end of the year, you'll be someone who's a totally different person, right? So hopefully this has helped you out. I'm wishing you the best of the best of the best of it in this year. I'm looking forward to seeing how you grow, right? I'm looking forward to you guys taking this serious, and we'll see you on the next Monday morning meetup. Again, if you're watching this somewhere and you're not sure how you can join us and our cool crew that we have here of one percenters, go to tycohen.com/MMM. So tycohen.com/MMM. And there you go. Have a good day, good night, good morning. I'll see you. Stay well.